Okay, Mom. What's up?
What's up, everybody?
Welcome.
Welcome.
How's everyone doing? Happy Wednesday.
It's a gloomy Wednesday here, everybody.
It's been gloomy.
I don't even want to think about it, honestly.
Like, where's the sun?
It's gone. It's gone. Canadian winters have started.
Yeah.
It's over.
The is like, bye.
Oh my
I'm not
God.
gonna be here.
I just heard the worst news. It's going to snow this week.
I heard it's gonna snow on Friday.
Oh, I cannot.
Guys, I can't stand
deal.
the snow.
I can't.
My husband was already looking at like snow blowers, and I was like, what kind of life is this? Why are we looking at Black Friday deals for snow
Oh
blowers?
my God. I cannot handle. Like, oh my God.
I just want a Chanel bag. I don't want a snow blower.
Like, I just want groceries.
I just want a
Like,
fancy
is it-
espresso
yeah.
machine. I want a new espresso machine. Anybody
Get
have
the
any tips?
DeLonghi ones.
I have a
Or
DeLonghi.
the Mealy?
No, I want
Miel?
a Breville.
Ooh, Breville's a good one.
So that's
The
what
one that crushes your...
your coffee breeds fresh.
How do I not know this? Hey, Breville.
That's right, Breville. Let's go.
Right here, right here.
Decorate my kitchen for me,
Early Christmas present right here.
please.
Okay, guys.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel.
Yes.
Okay. Make sure that you are following us and giving us those 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Make sure that you are following us on socials, TikTok, Instagram. Y'all already know. Nick's Facebook, because we don't like the Facebook community. I'm kidding. Don't come at me.
Some of them like us. Then there's other ones that think we are just horrendous.
Yeah, the ones that like us on
Oh,
Facebook,
well.
we really like you guys.
Yeah.
But you know who we really love? Our patrons. Listen, I know the Patreon people, our Patreon community is
That's so
listening right
true.
now. This is dedicated to y'all.
You guys are amazing.
You guys are amazing. If you don't already know, we are on Patreon. www.patreon.com/OkMomPodcast.
Yep.
If y'all don't know, our Patreons get our question of the week early.
Yep.
Their responses get priority.
Yes, they do.
Oh, and they give us great stories.
They give us great stories. And also, you guys get that extra content every Monday at 7 a.m. Mm-hmm. If there's ever any perks coming up, which there will be, you guys will get that first as well.
Exactly. And listen, people on Patreon, can you do us a favor? Get a friend to subscribe.
Yes.
All right?
Please.
Let's double
Thank
the numbers.
you.
And let's get that club going too. We'll
I'm
see
with
y'all
it.
there on Monday.
I'm with it.
So, what's going on, Hina? What do you want to share with us? First of all,
Well-
you're looking fresh.
Girl, this is what I wanted to share, my beautiful new shirt.
You're looking fly.
You know, the black and the gold. You know, I'm a girl that loves to wear black.
Black
so
and yellow, black and yellow.
Black and yellow. We have our Just Drive hoodies on. Gotta keep us warm for the winters.
Facts.
We're going to give you guys a brief story about the person who created this brand.
Yep.
So let's get into it. This brand is called Just Drive Apparel, and I'm going to give you guys their origin story. We're gonna both share the origin story, which is actually kind of cool. I've always loved 2 things: playing basketball and driving fast cars. But when I lost my BMW, it felt like I lost more than just a car. I felt broken, out of control, and unsure of where my life was headed. To cope, I started playing basketball every chance I got. While I was on the court, I realized something about myself. I was always playing defense, never offense. I wasn't bringing the ball up, wasn't making plays or taking shots, and I saw how this mirrored my real life. I was always reacting, blocking, and protecting myself, but I was never making moves or taking control.
In basketball, when you're on offense, they call it driving to the basket. When you're behind the wheel of a car, it's called driving. The word drive stuck with me, and it became a reminder that I needed to stop just surviving and start taking charge. As women, we often find ourselves stuck in defense mode, protecting what we have, but rarely making bold moves to take what we want. That's where Just Drive Apparel came from, a mindset to always be in the driver's seat, whether it's on the court, in a car, or in life. I created this brand so I'd never again let anyone take away what I love without a fight. And I want to inspire others to play offense and take control of their lives too. That's such
I
an awesome
absolutely love
story.
that.
Me too.
I love that. And I think it's like a really important thing to take away from life in general. But I love that that was the concept of this brand.
Right?
Right?
Also,
It's really
guys, like it's so soft.
Yeah.
And you know what I love? That there's like different types of material. So this is like a thinner hoodie, which I actually like because you know sometimes you get too hot.
Yeah.
When you this is the kind of hoodie you can layer.
I did layer this. So I
See?
have a long sleeve under this and then I put this on top and it's a really nice fit.
Yeah, it's a great fit.
Yeah.
It's not like I don't feel overly hot in it. I love the
It has
material.
pockets.
Y'all know we need the pockets.
I don't know what it is with girls and pockets. I don't know.
Even with guys, like I feel like they would never walk around without like,
They need a jib for their wallet.
need the jams. Okay. Thank you so much for sending us all this stuff. Y'all know that this brand you guys need to check it out. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to include their links below. You guys can check them out on Instagram and make sure to give them a follow. Make sure to buy some of their merch. It's actually really, really cute. It's more simple. It's not so in your face, which I really like.
Exactly. I also like that. I think they do, if you have a team or if you're a coach, I think they can also help you out in terms of uniforms.
Oh, cool.
So obviously, because that's sports apparel, right? So
Totally.
definitely reach out to them, especially if you're a coach, if you're a mom, if you're like in the little leagues and you know that your kids are joining and you soccer mom, hockey mom, and you want to help out, reach out to them. Also, guys, we've said it before, the talent in our community is unreal. Let's support
Unmatched.
women in our community, okay? Especially when there are women out there who are actually fighting now and not just sitting in the passenger seat.
Right.
You know, she's fighting for what she believes in.
it.
She's got a great brand going, so we want everybody to take part. I wanted to do a different type of an episode. We've done a bit of this before, and I would call them What Would Hina Do?
Yeah, it was like, what would Hina and Uruje do?
Yeah, but I like putting Hina on the spot.
Yeah, typical.
So what we're going to
Throw
do
me
is
under the bus.
we had to ask you all to send us your dilemmas.
This one is, I say this about every single time. Like, this is the juicy one. This is the Jahoosy Lucy topic.
You know why? It's because the dilemmas vary. You go from like the parent issues, the sibling issues, the friends. We kind of got it all jumbled up in one, okay? We're going to try and go through as many dilemmas as we can. Here's the rule.
Okay.
You have to put yourself in the shoes of the person who is sending us the dilemma.
I genuinely do that. Okay?
And I might twist the rules here and there and be like, no, this is young Hina.
Oh,
or this is going to be...
I'm twisting the rules
All right,
on you
let's
too.
twist it up a
Okay,
little
let's
bit.
see.
All right.
Okay, also want to preface and say we are not therapists. We are not professionals, okay? So in case you guys go back and you're like, well, Hina and Uruje told us that we need to do, we are okay with you not saying things like that.
Also, we didn't tell you to do anything.
Yes. We just
You're your own person.
thoughts. You are your own person.
But we're here for the laughs. Some of these things are really obviously... I think the gist of our podcast has been we take kind of serious topics in our Desi community, things that people don't really talk about, and we put a twist and humor on top of it so we can kind of cope. It's our coping mechanism.
It's our coping mechanism, but it's also like, listen, if you can't laugh at the trauma, like
we're just going to be crying all day.
Like we're going to sit there and cry our eyes out. So we're trying to lighten the mood a little bit.
So thank you so much for sharing. We're very sorry that a lot of you have had to go through some of this. We appreciate that we're a safe space for you to share it, and we're going to get into it.
Siblings robbing the older brother for everything he has and trying to break his marriage. So let's throw a scenario.
Y'all. Let me pick my jaw back up from the ground.
So your older sibling, let's say, is very well off. Okay. The younger siblings throwing that pity party. Like, I can't afford it. Can you please help me? I'll give it back to you. If you lend me this money, I'll give it back to you. And then he says, oh, of course, like I can't say no, right? I can't say no.
He's a real
my younger sibling, so I'm going to help. But then his wife is like, stop doing that. Like they're taking advantage of you, which is a very normal thing. And now the younger siblings are like, oh my God, why are you listening to her? She's ruining our relationship. What do you do? I'd say you're the older sibling.
I would prioritize my marriage. And at one point you have to realize when you cannot be... I'm not going to say spoiling your younger siblings, but not letting them learn that life lesson that they need.
Yeah.
If they're always going to kata at my door, how am I going to teach them, like, you guys need to earn and hard work and stop taking things when you don't really, I don't even want to say deserve it, but when you know, when people are just taking advantage now.
Freeloading.
Yeah. Like, Bevaja, you're just coming to my house and doing all these things, but in return, you're also not respecting my relationship with my wife. You're expecting the new iPhone just as it releases.
Yeah.
I can't afford to be giving everybody a new iPhone. I have three siblings. You want to spend $8,000 on phones?
100%.
Doesn't work that way.
You know, there was this, I was listening to this podcast, okay? And it was, you guys have probably heard of him, Gabor Mate.
Yeah.
Right? So basically he was talking to Jay Shetty, and he was talking about how a lot of the times culturally, we have a problem being authentic, and being authentic can mean we have a problem saying no. Because we feel like if we say no, we're going to hurt someone else, and we're going to, oh my God, we're going to make it so hard on them. So the example he gave was, if you're really busy, Aruj, right? Let's say this brother situation, he does not have the money, but his sister and brother are asking him for the money. And just out of the, oh my God, but I don't want them to feel like I'm not there for them, he consistently says yes. At the end of it, the person that suffers is him and his relationship.
Exactly.
Because he was not strong enough to be like, no. And it is hard to say no, because he gave this really great example about this doctor that passed away. Okay. A doctor passed away in his 70s from like cancer. Okay. But when they wrote the story of the doctor in like the obituary, basically what they said about this doctor was, and I'm paraphrasing, that this man was such a great son. He would do everything for his parents. He would always see his parents every day for dinner, or sorry, every Sundays he would go to his parents for dinner. And then after he had a full dinner with his parents every Sunday, he would go home and have a second dinner with his wife. And his wife would be waiting for him to have a second dinner. Okay. And then he never told his wife that, I have a dinner with my parents every Sunday. He would make up another excuse because he couldn't tell her and he couldn't disappoint his parents. Ultimately, he started gaining weight. He started getting sick, all these things just because of the fact that he couldn't say no. It's so unhealthy not to be able to say no. Like, you have to learn to say no. If someone is taking advantage of you, it doesn't matter who it is. It could be your mom, it could be your dad. Even if they're not taking advantage, but if you're a parent and you're consistently asking your son for something, you also have to take a step back and be like, that's a human being.
Exactly.
Like, come on.
But bring it back to the scenario. In the scenario, they said that they were stealing from the older brother.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not even like they're going to the older brother and asking. Obviously, it's going to tear up the relationship between the older brother and the wife.
Yeah.
If the wife probably knows or has caught the younger siblings, okay? What would you do in this scenario? You're the older brother, okay?
Yeah.
Your wife has come up to you and said, listen, your younger siblings, I saw them in my closet and they took whatever, my watch and this, that, whatever. Let's just say 3 or 4 items.
Honestly, just because of how I am, it doesn't matter what age I would be. This is something that I have a very close relationship with them that I'd be like, what are you guys doing? Are you serious? Like, are you really taking stuff?
Yeah, but what if they're like, why are you taking her side? There's no evidence. We didn't take anything. We were not in her closet.
Then I'd be like, I would go back to like, what did they take? And then I would look in my closet for that thing. And if it's not there, then I'd be like, it's not there. Why are you taking things?
Yeah.
Like, why would your wife come and say that to you unless your wife is naturally a toxic person? And I think as a husband or as a spouse, you can see those red flags.
But you know what it is? Then siblings pull, the parent guilt? Siblings pull that too. They'll be like, oh, I can't believe you're believing her over us. You're letting her come in between us.
Okay, so let's say
You took care of us our whole life.
Yeah, so let's say that this does happen, right? Let's say the first time I'm like, okay, let it go, let it slide, we'll see. This is something that's probably going to be repetitive behavior, right? Everyone's true colors are revealed with time.
Facts.
Right? Eventually, you are also able to see. You have to be strong enough to set a boundary and not feel bad about it. They should feel bad for putting you in a situation like that.
What
period.
Kind of siblings are stealing from you though?
That's weird.
Like, even if the brother is well off, like this is not an older brother problem. This is a younger sibling problem.
This is a younger sibling problem, but obviously it's something that was passed down to them from who knows what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're lacking something, though, so they're lacking maybe love in their life, so they feel like their brother has to take on this parent position and fulfill all of their needs. Get a damn job. Fulfill your own needs.
Facts. I think I would I would not cut ties with the sibling, but set hard boundaries with the siblings, and then like mend my relationship with my spouse.
I would also, the spouse situation, it's like your spouse is like, if you really love your spouse and vice versa, then that relationship trumps the other ones because that's the rest of your life.
She said it.
Your siblings need to calm down.
I have huge FOMO when I see my friends having fun, but I also don't want to leave my house. What do you do in that situation? It's a dilemma.
Look, if you are having huge FOMO when you see your friends having fun and you are invited to those events and you're also not leaving your house, then maybe you need to figure out, why are you not leaving? Like, what holds you back? Is it like the social anxiety? Is it just feeling like maybe you don't fit in? Like, there's obviously a reason why you don't feel comfortable leaving your house.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue. Like, the FOMO part is like the second part. The actual issue is, why don't you want to leave your house? And that's a question that you have to answer. Like, we can't answer that. It could be a number of things.
Yeah.
Right? It could be social anxiety. It could be like, maybe in the past you've gone out with those friends and they made you feel less than. And then in that case, like, readjust your friends because maybe they're not the best friends for you.
That's a tough one. I feel like sometimes, aside from, yes, I totally agree with what you said. You should be figuring out why you don't want to leave the house.
Yeah.
But I also feel like sometimes, even if you're in a rut, sometimes you have to get yourself out of it.
Yeah, that's
And if
true
you
too.
have FOMO and they're good friends, sometimes you just gotta like get up and just go.
Yeah.
It could change. You know, it's one of those things where it's like when you're unhappy with how you look, and you're just like, oh my God, I wish I looked like this person, or I wish I lost 15 pounds or whatever. But then you're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, it's
then
very
you,
true.
you end up in this like cyclical situation where you
Yeah.
don't know what to do and you don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like you, at one point, you have to realize, I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to join a gym. I'm going to like work on my diet. I'm going
Yeah.
to not eat out for 3 weeks, whatever you need to do to get to where you want to be. Sometimes when you feel that way with friends and you feel antisocial, you got to get out.
Yeah, you know, you are in control of your reaction to certain things,
Yeah.
right? Like, let's say you're having FOMO, right? Which is like, oh, fear of missing out, but then it's also like, oh, I can't do it for whatever reason it is.
Yeah.
She's right. Like at some point you have to be like, okay, this is the situation I'm in. Let's say somebody has like depression. Okay. Honestly, let's say you're depressed and you're just like, no, I can't leave because it's a disease. Okay. And you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, I'm so upset. I'm so upset. I'm so upset. But at some point, it's also a choice of yours. Do I sit here and let it consume me? Right? Do I? Or can I take baby steps to try to do something? Right?
Something
Sit
little.
outside, go for a walk, read a book, go to the gym. All these things are things that are potentially helpful to that. Right? So really, it's a choice of yours with what you want to do with your life.
Yeah. Divorced. My ex-in-laws won't give me my money and my belongings back. Is this a thing?
What? What do you mean? What do you mean they won't give it back?
What?
I've been walking in there. Like, you better give it back.
Listen, Hina's rolling through. Okay, I'm coming with her.
I'm bringing my
your
big
techi.
hammer.
No, you bring your techi. Okay, and we go upstairs. You pack your things and you walk out of the house.
Look, when the tachi comes out, you know it's real. Okay.
What do you mean they're not giving it back? It's your
Yeah,
stuff.
but some are so, you know, like they would probably be like, तुम मेरे घर के अंदर नहीं आ सकती. तुम मेरे बेटी को छोड़ के चली गई हो. तुम्हारी fault थी. You know how they say that? They get so hurt.
Meanwhile, you're like, your son actually loved me.
Like, you've been hurting me my whole entire marriage. Now all of a sudden it matters to you. Yeah. Okay. Why do they have your money? That's what I want to know.
Yo,
Why do they
your
have your money?
belongings. She said, won't give my money and belongings back.
Okay.
But you know, at one point, would you have an ego where you're like, you know what? Forget it. I don't want any of it. Take it.
That's
Take
who I
it.
am. That is 100% who I am. That's just me. Not everyone is like that. But
Right.
I also think if it was something very valuable, like some of your belongings could have like jewelry your mom gave you.
That's what I'm saying. What if it's like a family heirloom?
Nah, I would go back for that.
For stuff like that, I think money or whatever. Okay, depending on how much it is.
If it's $200, it's okay.
What if it's like 60K?
Then sorry,
cash.
lawyer up.
Ooh.
Lawyer up, because if they're gonna be, first of all, that's not their property. They
Yep.
actually cannot hold on to that.
Yep. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you lawyer up, and then the day that the popo go in to get that money, you're walking right with them. You're like, hello, ma'am. You said I couldn't get it, but I'm here to get it. And you wouldn't even go get it. You would let the police do that, and you would just stand there and smile.
And you would just look at that
And you thought,
warrant. That warrant, and you'll be like, well, y'all want to
you
play
know what?
dirty. Here we go.
Exactly. I just think like if somebody is going to do that to you, that's not their things. They don't own that stuff. It's such a giddy wee both to do something like that.
Yep.
Like the divorce process is hard enough. We don't need to deal with that stuff. Okay.
Sorry, you're
So
going through
I
that.
would say if this is a large sum of money and it is actually things that are yours, then you sometimes have to go through the legal process and get lawyers involved. As much as it is costly and unfortunate, that's just what you have to do. They should not be doing that. It's a power play on their part, and it's kind of gross and disgusting.
Yo, I gotta read this one because this is
Yes.
blowing my mind.
Below the mind.
When my parents and husband got into a physical fight and I had to choose between the two of them.
Oh my God.
My parents
I'm trying to put myself in a situation.
and my husband got in a
I
physical
would feel like my life is like ending.
fight.
Yeah, that's like a really rough thing, man. Hi Allah. Okay.
This one actually is leaving us
Okay.
speechless.
the thing is, we need context.
Yeah. That's all I
What
got.
was the fight,
I don't
right?
know. That's all we got.
But my main thing is, it's okay to get angry at things. It's never okay to throw hands and get physical. Unless someone is hitting you first. That's different. I think self-defense, that's different. But I just need context. Let's say, Uruje, not putting you in this situation today. Let's say your parents were just like, no, like they say this to your husband. Listen, I told you to do it this way and you didn't. And it's actually your husband that throws the hands first. Let's say someone tries to calm him down and he goes, don't touch me, like that. Because people do that. People do that in a fit of rage. You'll be like, stop touching me. You know what I mean? And then they're just like, calm down. And then they put, you know what I mean? Like, and then let's say other people get involved because they're trying to hold him back. And then he's just like angry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no, oh my God, I can't even say it.
Okay,
How do you do? This is a very tough situation.
And she said she had to choose between the two of them. I am of the opinion that regardless of how much anger is going on in that situation, nobody should be laying hands on the elderly.
Yeah.
It's just my opinion. I don't
What if
think
the elderly laid hands first?
I don't know. Sometimes you're just kind of like,
Take the mod.
we've been
Take the
taking
footing. Take the court.
we've been taking it. Okay. But like, I could never see any young person, like it's literally like elder abuse. And
It's
we
like
reach,
respect, man.
yeah. How many times have you seen like TikTok videos or whatever of all these like poor, like little elderly people
No, but can I
getting abused?
I agree with you, but there are also in-laws and other people, potentially even your parents, that will actually physically abuse you.
You know what? If that's the case, then I still feel like I know this is like so crazy, but I just feel like you don't lay your hands on them. Just like if they're behaving that way, just break the situation, but don't fight back. Girl, you're gonna fight back for like an elderly, really scary father-in-law?
I wouldn't fight back, but if someone really hit me hard, I'm just not that girl to stand and take it. I'm just not her.
Well, yeah, I
Not
know.
her.
But what if there is a in-law situation
if an
or
in-law
something?
hit me, it depends
it's-
on what it is.
Yeah.
Right? Like
And I'm not saying like sister-in-law, brother-in-law is different. I'm talking about mother-in-law, father-in-law, or mom and dad.
Mother-in-law, father-in-law. Okay. If let's say your mother-in-law, father-in-law actually like hit you hard, like really hard, where it's not like this, not like that. And it's not even like they're holding you hard, right? Because you can still use your words at that point, right? You can still be like, please don't touch me like that. Okay. If I think someone hits you really hard, like they like grab like a candlestick and they're like hitting you, okay? And they're hurting you really hard, you have every right to defend yourself. I don't care how old that person is.
Let me reread the scenario.
Okay.
When my parents and husband got into a physical fight and I had to choose between the two of them.
Even the second time, it's still shocking.
It's shocking.
Better.
It's just as shocking.
Just as shocking. Okay, you know what? Look, I stick to what I said. Okay, look. If somebody actually hurt me and I got hurt, I'm not talking about like this. I'm not talking about like thoda. Like I can handle that. Okay.
You're talking somebody picked up the
I'm
mic.
talking somebody really hurt me. Okay. 100% I would do the pushback to get away from me and I would be yelling at them.
Yeah.
I would be like, don't you dare touch me again. And that is, they shouldn't have touched me in the first place. Okay?
I also feel like if they're coming at you and you're like holding their arm in defense.
Yeah.
Cool. I get that. I don't know if you would fight back.
I'm not gonna lie. No. I actually think if somebody was consistently beating me down and I'm trying to stop them and they won't stop, then I would push them back very hard.
Okay, so let's look at the situation. Okay, your parents and your husband got in a physical fight. What are you doing? How are you choosing between the two of them? This is her dilemma.
It depends on what happened, right?
Okay.
Right? Like what happened? What was, let's say it was my husband's fault. Let's say that.
Okay.
If it's his fault, first of all, going back to what you said, you should not be raising your hands at somebody's parents. You shouldn't be raising your hands at all, unless this is a do or die situation. My guy, like, come on, okay? So like, you shouldn't do that. If by chance you do that and then your husband pulls that, why didn't you support me? As a wife, you should be like, I'm not going to support the wrong thing just because you're my husband. Period. He shouldn't even be asking you to support him when he's doing something wrong. And deep down, he knows it was wrong. Okay. Like, what are you supposed to do? Hold a man back? Like, are you serious? How is she supposed to do that?
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? That's not her fault. It's also unfair to make somebody that's a middleman genuinely have to pick a side.
I know.
Pick a side in what way?
I know.
Right?
You know, girls are always asked to pick a side.
Of course they are.
We're always asked to pick a side. Either you pick your parents, and you know what? Our moms were like, "Nee, nee, koi nee." He's right.
100%, man.
This is our moms.
Some of them. But what if in this situation it was the parents that started it? If it was the parents that started it, look, as a daughter, because they're your parents, you should be able to sit down with them and have the conversation.
Right.
Now, there are some moms and dads that are hotheads, okay? That they're just like, no, how dare he? He shouldn't have done this, and he shouldn't. We did it, and we're right to do that because we're the parents.
Yeah.
We used to hit you when you were younger, so he's like a son tussle. We can give him one too. You know, some parents pull that card.
Yeah, I know.
In that situation, again, you are an adult. You should be able to have the conversation with your parents and be like, you were wrong. I'm not going to break my marriage because you were wrong. You're sorry. You have
like,
that very hard
at
conversations.
some point, if your parents are real true hotheads, okay, and they're just stuck in that tunnel vision, you have to be able to have some space away from them.
I think so too.
Until everybody cools down.
Yep.
Okay. And then if you feel like I need to address the situation, then maybe go and address it first to the person in the situation who would handle it best. For example, if your parents have cooled down, but your husband is still upset, go and talk to your parents. Okay. Be like, Mom, this is affecting my marriage. Okay. Whatever happened, let's just say your parents had started it. Be like, you know, that was not cool. It's literally affecting my marriage.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying that he's correct either. Maybe he shouldn't have raised his hands with you, but you guys started it. You kept egging him on, even though like, yeah, maybe when we were children, we used to like get hit or whatever. We're adults now. This is not how we handle situations. Okay.
Yeah.
Have the conversation with them. And then when your husband is ready, have that conversation with him.
I think that's the best way to do it. Ultimately, if you, continue. Finish your thought.
Think,
yeah.
and this is me now asking you, adding to this dilemma.
Yes.
Would you try and mend the situation between your husband and the parents?
That's what I was going to actually talk about.
Okay.
I was going to say that if, for example, your husband is genuinely a good person, okay? And this was his one-off, okay? And your parents, you love them and they love you, right? And this was just a horrible situation.
Yeah.
Then try to mend it. It's not your job to mend it. I'm not saying it's your job because it should be the two parties involved's job to mend it.
Yeah.
But sometimes egos get in the way and you have to find a middle ground where you can kind of find a way to bring things together. So I loved that thing that you said about going to the reasonable party first. The one that you can kind of be like, hey, listen, let's think of it like this. And usually there's one. Okay. So you would go to them. And then I feel like you can maná your husband most of the time. Sometimes. I'm not going to say most. Sometimes you can. Okay. But the thing is, a lot of men, they have these big egos and women do too.
Yeah.
Right. Where we want to be, it's like a power struggle. Sometimes a power struggle within your husband and your dad. It could go so many different ways. I just think if it gets physical, you try to handle it the best you can. If you know that your husband is in the wrong, you got to tell him that he was wrong. Sorry, he's not. You just sitting there and be like, oh, I'm just going to sit with you and side with you because I'm married to you is not healthy. He's going to think that he can continuously do things like that. That's not healthy. And same with your parents.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe depending on how bad it is, obviously we have zero context.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't have any context.
But depending on how bad it is, maybe like family counseling is the way to go.
That's a great idea.
Okay. Because you got to hash things out. And if it's leading to physical altercations, there is something going on in the situation and it needs to be spoken about in a healthy environment so that people can get it out of their system and they're not physically hurting one another.
Yeah, I think
elderly parents, your husband, you don't want your husband to be feeling that way.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be awkward. Every family situation now, your parents are going to be on edge. Your husband's going to be on edge. He doesn't want to go. He's going to make you feel bad for going.
Yeah, or you don't want to go or he doesn't let you go, which is weird, but
it happens. Right? And then you come home and you're like, oh my God, I can't like share anything with him. He gets so upset. It could just go horribly.
I think ultimately, if any situation in your life gets to a point where it becomes physical, it's because there have been many other situations prior to that have led up to that.
That's what I'm saying.
So like
the volcano erupted.
The volcano erupted. And we've talked about this, that it doesn't erupt in the best way possible. So go and look back at what the issues are. This is why I think it's so important. And honestly, we say this, but we also have to do this for ourselves in our lives. It's so important to handle the issue at hand in the moment. Handle it, get it done and over with. Once it's done, you move on.
Yep.
If you keep on building it up, it's going to build up and explode just like what happened here. I hope it gets fixed because is a really hard situation.
Also, I hope everyone's okay.
Yeah.
That's a crazy dilemma. We don't even have an answer. We're just blabbing on now.
Yeah, man. I
don't even know what to say. I don't even think.
I'm also like, I'm feeling you as the person that's in the middle. I'm like, I don't know which way to turn.
I literally wouldn't know which side to choose, how to like go about the situation. This is really funny because I feel like this is very relatable to everybody in a relationship right now.
Okay.
When in a fight with my husband, the urge to say something really, really mean versus not saying anything to stay calm, and then you choose to say the mean thing every damn time.
I think there's levels of mean.
There is levels.
But you know what? Hold on. I have a very different approach to these things.
Okay, go.
Why do we have to hold back with everything? I mean, you don't have to say every mean thing. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, you know, when you say something, like even when just the way that she phrased it, I was thinking of saying something mean because I was upset at him. Then I didn't say it. Then I thought, no, I shouldn't say it. But then I still said it. And then it's like, I felt guilty after, right? But what if that mean thing was warranted because he was being mean to you? You know what I'm saying? Why are we sitting there wallowing in guilt when someone has been mean to us, as if we are not allowed to express our anger or emotions? Because we have to always be the ones that keep the peace to keep the marriage together. But other people don't have to be that way, right? It's always going to land on us.
Okay, playing devil's advocate here though, because that's what I like to do. Everyone's watching me like, Uruje, here we go. Okay, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, right? And you are right.
Yeah.
You are right. However, girls are also notorious for
Being below the belt.
and it has absolutely nothing to do with the conversation you're having with your husband
I'm
right
not
now.
gonna lie, that's true.
Okay?
That's true.
We are arguing about the TV remote subscription channel, whatever. Let's just say we're talking about the subscription channels we have, and your husband is like, hey, listen, I don't think we need Pluto TV.
Pluto TV, ye kya hai?
That's the thing, right? And then you're like, well, you know what? You don't get me anything anyway, so I don't want to cancel that subscription. And then
shut.
See what I mean? See what I mean? And your husband is like, girl, I'm just trying to save us $7 so I can put it towards the Netflix increases.
No.
every month.
What you would say? I'll tell you what you would say.
Okay.
You would say, I'm just trying to save you the $7, and you'd be like, maybe if you didn't give your parents $57,000, you would have to.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
That's what you would say. Forget
And
the
this is
$7. That's what you would say.
This is why guys are like,
No. But why are you feeling this? I'm like, unload the layers. Unload the layers. What happened? Something led you to getting that upset. Maybe it was a bunch of things that pent up and then you unleashed.
Yeah, but what if it's not that? What if it's every single time?
Okay.
You know what she said in this dilemma? She goes every damn time.
Yeah,
Every time. Like, you guys listen.
No, you can't do
For
that
all
every
the
time.
girls who listen to our podcast, okay, which we have a great community here,
Yeah.
okay? Sometimes we also need to self-reflect. We cannot be in defense mode.
We can't.
Okay, you can't always be arguing. Sometimes your husband is genuinely like just trying to have a conversation with you. Okay, we can't also all the time pick fights.
We can't.
You're
have to
not
pick your
watching
battles.
Pluto TV. You
Yeah.
don't need the
Yeah.
subscription. If
For
he's
one
canceling
show.
it
For one show.
and then you know what happens? Then no chup chop, they do it themselves. Then you get mad that he didn't share news with you, because every time he shares news with you, you're getting mad.
I just think you have to pick your battles. Was this a battle that was worth battling?
No.
No. And I also think like, you can't fight over everything. And the other thing I was going to say, which actually I heard this from like a doctor on TikTok, a real doctor.
So you know,
yeah, Dr. Daniel Amen. Everybody knows about him. He's like a brain doctor. He said, there are a lot of thoughts that go in your brain, a lot of mean things. That doesn't mean you have to say the mean things all the time. You can think the mean things. How about that? How about you just think it and not verbal diarrhea it? You can't always say the mean things. It's not healthy for your relationship.
it's also like when you shouldn't be crying for everything.
Yes,
Because it
don't
ends up-
be a rondu. I can't handle it. Yo, the girls that are major rondus, like I am done. Har baat pe rona dhona. Like, are you serious?
You guys, you literally cannot take them seriously. So even for you, when you are getting into arguments, stop fighting over everything, because your husband is not going to take you seriously.
I just think, imagine you were a guy,
Okay.
and every time you say something to your wife, she's crying. Every time.
Yeah, it's such an ick.
It's the biggest musibat of life. You're just like, oh my God, here we go again. And guys, you know what happens? They are so desensitized. They don't give a they're like, this is the same old rodeo that I've been going to for the last 12 years of my life.
All right, hop on. Let's go.
That's what I'm saying. Like, eventually it's like, I don't care if you're crying. Like, do you really want them to be that, the lack of empathy, you know? You forced
All
it on them.
aboard the Rondu train.
Yeah,
okay?
all aboard the Rondu Express. Like, nobody wants to be a part of that. My God. And girls, how would you feel if your husband is sitting there crying over every damn thing?
If he starts crying, I'd be like, okay, listen, you only cry if somebody's passing away or something. We're doing extreme measures. Why are you crying? Because I asked you, I don't want the Pluto subscription.
Rouge, I would honestly give him the weirdest look. Like, are you serious right now? Like, there has to be a proper reason for the tears at least.
Facts.
Like, if you're really like just like hot mess express every flipping time there's an argument, like,
Honestly, he's not going to care at one point.
and he's not going to take you seriously. Like, guys, remember, the tears come out when it's necessary and
When you did
warranted.
that girls trip.
Not saying you shouldn't express your emotions, but it's not express.
I think we also need to know, like, listen, crying it out is also great. I feel great after a great
Yeah, me
cry.
too.
You know what I mean?
Feels good.
But sometimes I feel like I need to cry on my own, let it out, it feels so good, and then I can collect my thoughts where they're not based on just emotions. I'm thinking clearly now. I am understanding what my argument will look like.
Yep.
You know, I'm going back and forth in my head. Like, what if he says this? What if I say this? What if she says this? What if I say this? Type of a thing. But I know that I'm finally going to be able to get my point across without that cloud of emotion.
Yes. Clarity.
Clarity. And this is why that's when you're going to win your argument. But if you're just going to be
Yeah.
crying all the time.
But it's also not even about the winning. Sometimes you just sometimes you have to own your loss. You don't need Pluto flipping TV for $7. You don't need it. Okay, calm down. Jeez.
You should much rather subscribe to our Patreon. It's cheaper than Pluto.
If there was ever a good plug, that was the one. Just
Shameless.
for saying that in and shamelessly plugging, y'all get on there and subscribe right now. Jeez. Okay.
My mother-in-law insists my baby call her Ammi. I'm a new mom and it's making me furious.
That's weird. Actually, no, it's not weird because
A lot of that older generation expects a lot of the like grandmas to be called Ammi, Amiji. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, my kids call my mom Ummi. But you know why they do it? It's because we call my mom Ummi.
Yeah, so
they just picked up on it. It wasn't like my mom wasn't like, make sure they call me Ummi. They just picked up on it.
yeah, because some like, okay, for example, my dad in the family is Papaji.
Yeah.
So when my sister had her daughters, when I had my kids, my dad said, I don't want to be called Nano or
Yeah,
like Nana.
yeah.
I want to be Papaji.
Yeah.
And everybody in this entire family
Papaji.
calls him Papaji. Even my kids.
There you go. But okay, so is it okay if your parents do that, but not your in-laws? What if your parents said that? You'd probably be like, "Aw, of course." I'm just being real, okay? Like, look, I understand if you don't have a good relationship with your in-laws and things like ick you out about them,
Yeah.
then anything they say to you is a trigger.
Facts.
It's a trigger.
Especially in that newborn when you're
Yeah.
in the slumps.
Yeah. It's a
When
trigger.
motherhood is like literally driving you nuts.
I think that in those situations it's a trigger, but like I also think if they're like really good to your kids and they love your kids, that is a very tiny thing on the scale of big things.
What if
That's
you
my thought.
want to be called Ammi? What if your kids you're like, no, I wanted my kids to call
So then
me
it'd be
Ammi.
like, I'm Ami, then they can call you something else.
Yeah.
Like they can call you something, you can be like Ami John.
Amma.
Amma. I would personally prefer like if it was like I really love like Dadi John because it's like
That's
you're
cute.
like my heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you're like someone I love.
Maybe
I love
you
that.
can pitch a few different ideas.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you can also sell the idea.
yeah.
Sell it.
Sell it, you know? And then, I think so if you're in this dilemma, would you do that?
100%.
What would you do?
I would be like, oh, mujhe pasand hai, magar I feel like she'd get confused.
Yeah.
Because she'd be like, oh, I call you Ami. And so instead I was thinking, I really love when they say Dadi John because it means that they have a lot of love for you. Like John is like love, right? So like, or my love, right?
Yeah.
So I would really appreciate if like you were okay with that. Because I think that I want her to always know that like there's always going to be love for you. You're part of her heart. I would say it that way.
Do you think you need to have your husband around for this conversation?
No.
I hope not.
I don't
But
think.
we don't know the context.
Yeah. If you have a bad relationship, then yeah, I think it can get a little tricky. But I feel like, okay, look, this is my thought. I know we like slander in-laws up, right, left, and center. Okay. But I think if you're in a relationship with a man that you truly love, truly, okay, there are sometimes sacrifices that you have to make. There just are. Okay. This, like I said before, on the grand scale of things is not gonna break you. Okay. Like there are other things that could be worse. So it's all in context, right? If in this situation she says, I would like to be called Ummi, and your kids call you Ummi, you can like put it out there and be like, I because I'm Ummi, can you just, what if we do this? What if we do this? What if we do that? And then if it doesn't work, then you tell your husband to be like, no, mom, like she's gonna get confused. And you know, when the guys say it, they understand a little bit more sometimes. Yep. Right. I just think if they
especially if it's coming from her own side.
Yeah. And if they're like loving towards your kids and they genuinely love them, then give them a little. Just give them a little. It's okay. It's okay. You got to maintain the relationship. You know what I mean? You can't just let it break apart. Sometimes you have to give a little, and it's just swallow the pride.
I think this is also us, like, having been moms for a number of years. We realize, like, but yeah, you know, in the beginning, it will bother you. In the beginning, when you have your first baby, a lot of things bother you. Almost everything. And I'm not just saying from your in-laws side. Literally from your siblings,
from your parents,
from anyone, your own husband, like anybody says, you're going to feel frustrated because you're trying to figure out how to navigate this new life. Right?
I agree.
I say it'd be great to like pitch different ways of calling your mother-in-law something. Like, you can be like, hey, I wanted my kids to call me Ami. Can they call you Ami Ji or Ami John or Dadi John or whatever? Like, give some idea. What do you think? Like, I love Dado. Dado's my favorite. I think it's the cutest thing ever.
Yeah.
And I think you can pitch that if you feel like you need to have your husband there for that conversation, because maybe you're emotional at that time. How hormonal are you after you give birth?
You are, but you know what you could also do? You could constantly just be like to your kid, Dado, that's Dado, that's Dado. And they're just going to say it. They spend more time with you anyway. So they're just not going to just like Dado, 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 and keep saying it.
Yeah, and then what if one day your mother-in-law is like, "Maine kitni dafa kaha hai? Mujhe ammi bulao."
And then your kid starts crying.
Oh, it's tough. It's a tough situation.
So jumping on this.
All right, go.
Someone said, I'd love to hear your thoughts around in-laws demanding to choose kids' names. And I would say to that, no. No. Okay. It's not happening. That's your child. You're giving birth to that child. You're going through your 12, 40 hours of labor, whatever it is. You carried that child in your stomach for 9 months. Absolutely not. No, they do not get a right to choose the name, period. End of discussion.
Also, like, your parents shouldn't. Nobody does.
Nobody
you
does.
And your spouse will pick whatever name you guys
and
like.
if, sometimes what people will do is they will put a middle name in that is like something that is chosen by like your parents or your in-laws and put it together. But don't be adding 12 names like what happened to me. Don't be doing that.
Don't be adding Bushra
Look where
everywhere.
I am now. Look where I am. People don't even know my real name. I'm a mixture. Okay.
They're just like, oh, you're the one on the podcast
with 40 names. Yeah, I'm her. Okay?
That is her.
I'm a nameless human. Okay. Like, what in the world? So yeah, be mindful of these things.
You know, sometimes, and I'm not just saying in-laws, I'm saying any set of parent.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get so in their head about wanting to do it that they'll call your kid what they wanted to name your kid. Then what?
Your kids ain't even gonna look at them.
Yeah. What if they looked at your kid and you named your daughter, let's say, like Sada?
Okay.
Great name, cute name, short, sweet, whatever. Okay. And then they're like, no, she's a Bushra. And then every time you go to their house, Bushra, your child would be so confused.
No, but I would, first of all, that's not even something that I would need to say. I would hope that my spouse would step in and be like, are you serious? That's not her name. That's not her name. Like, imagine calling a child by a different name because you just like the name. Like, oh, my niece's name is this. Let me just call her this instead. Like, she's not even going to respond to you. Come on. Doesn't make any logical sense.
Oh, man.
That is like people trying to guilt you into like having a say in something that's very personal.
Yeah.
And that is not anyone's decision other than yours.
Yeah. Also, like, I don't even think we shared our names. Like, you know, some people will, I didn't do any of that. And then we literally had like top 3 names.
Yeah.
And like when top 3 if it was a boy, top 3 if it was a girl type of thing. And then when we gave birth, I literally looked at the baby and I was like,
yeah, this one fits.
Suits. You're definitely a this.
Okay.
I'm Hindu and I'm secretly dating and in love with a Muslim guy. I'm super scared to tell my family. My boyfriend's Muslim parents keep bringing proposals from other Muslim women to him. What do I do? That's a tough one.
Oh.
That's a tough one. It's a big one in our community.
It's a really big one, and it's very common, especially these days. It wasn't so common when we were younger. It was, but like not. It's way more now.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if he is really serious about you, like he's serious, and this is not just a whatever situation for him, then it's up to him to take that step. It's not really a step that you can take. Like you would have to take the step with your parents once he's confirmed that he's serious. Because you also don't want to be telling your parents and then he like flakes. Not saying that he will, because I don't know the relationship, but that's up to him. And he's probably also in a situation where he's having a hard time telling his parents, because the truth is, just in like our culture, it's very hard to tell parents that you want to marry outside of your religion. It's a very difficult thing to do. It takes a lot of courage. There's a lot of things that you have to think about. I would even say like anyone in that situation, there's a lot of things that you have to think about and consider. Because, you know, right when you're dating someone, it's very different. When you're actually in the nitty gritty of it, you have to consider a million different things depending on the family, depending on like culture, how you're going to raise your kids, religion. So I think he would have to be the one that takes the first step.
I agree. And I feel like you can't stop the proposals until he makes that first step and tells his parents.
Yeah.
Because they don't know. And they're going to keep sending rishtas, because to them, it's like, well, we have a single son.
But what if they know?
But I don't think they know.
No, but I'm saying, what if they have an inkling that he is seeing someone? Because there's a chance, right? Like
again, he has to take a stand, right?
He has to.
He has to take a stand and be like, stop sending these rishtas my way. Don't show me any girls. I have someone. When you are ready to have this conversation with me, I will show you who it is, and we can have a conversation as a family.
You gotta, but girl, it's so hard.
It's so hard. I'm not saying this is going to be an easy conversation.
It's actually so
and it's
hard.
probably going to come with a lot of arguments, a lot of family meetings,
drama,
a lot of
tears,
parent guilt. You know, how can you do this to us?
Yeah.
Why
like,
would
you're
you do
my
this?
only son? How could you do this?
I'm never
Where
gonna
did
allow
I go
this.
wrong?
I'm not going to come to your wedding.
पता नहीं मैंने अपनी जिंदगी में क्या गलतियां की हैं.
इसीलिए हमें इस मुल्क में नहीं आना चाहिए था.
I'm taking you back home to get you married.
You don't have a choice. I gave birth to you.
Yeah, there's a lot of parental guilt, and
or you know the really scary ones where they're like, we brought you into this world, we gonna take you out. Whoa. Yo, these Hubby dramas, real quick. They don't
hold back.
Yeah, they don't hold back, but also they're based on a lot of true stories. These stories don't just come out of nowhere.
Which is why people watch them.
Facts. They'll be like, oh, relatable. It's me right now.
Yeah, I would say it's on him to take that step. 100%.
I also feel like for her, I just feel like you really need to think about whether this is how you'd want the rest of your life to be with this person. You have to know if he's going to be able to stand up for you in certain situations. Because when you are mixing cultures and religion at the same time, it's not an easy road. Okay.
Yeah.
And all the little details that you talked about, the how you want to raise your kids, like what celebrations you're going to be doing, what you're not going to be doing, do you have to change, what ceremonies are you going to be having? There are so many. Language, what languages are they going to learn? You know, there are so many things. Whose name are they going to take? Are we going to have a Muslim name? Are we going to have a Hindu name? Like what? There are so many little details that you probably haven't even thought of.
Yeah.
And you really need to think about, is this the life that I want? And if it is, then girl, kudos to you, and fight for it.
Fight for it. But you know what I think sometimes happens? Like when you're in that state of like you've given time to somebody, a lot of the times we are just like, we've devoted so much time to this person, I love this person. And then once you go deep into that feeling, you just feel like it's you and that person forever, because the outside things have not come into your life yet, right? So just keep that in mind, that once the outside things, and by outside things I mean family, extended family, culture, religion, all that gets involved as well, it only complicates things more. Not to say that this should not be your person, it can still be your person, but like for example, this situation with like him not telling his parents yet, obviously there's a reason for that, right? So keep in mind that once you potentially, let's say you do end up with this person, are they going to be able to separate from that? Or are they going to be more like, okay, so I went against my parents, now I have to make up for going against them by doing everything that they say?
And then what if those sacrifices are expected from you?
Absolutely. And right? He says to you, well, you wanted to marry me, so you knew what was going to come with it. Just remember this stuff because unfortunately we're still in that generation where people pleasing is extremely heavy. And once someone goes against something their parents say, sometimes they will kind of be like, well, I did this huge thing that was against my parents. So now to win their love back, I have to do X, Y, and Z. And that might be at the risk of putting you in a situation that might not be healthy for you.
Right.
So it's just things to consider. A friend recently kissed me and told me he liked me 2 months before he leaves for Arizona. What should I do? For background, the friend, I've known him for a bit. He doesn't have the best track record with women.
Ooh.
It's getting hot in here. It's getting hot.
Yo, Hina's like kissed me and I'm like, that's the auntie in me that comes out.
So a friend kissed me.
He's going to Arizona, and how long is he going for?
You're asking me like
if it's like indefinitely, then whatever. I think a kiss is a kiss. I wouldn't really hone in on that. Do you have feelings for this guy?
If you let him kiss you, I'm assuming you do.
Yeah, but if he's moving there indefinitely and you have no plans of moving.
Did he say he's moving or he just left for it? She said he left for Arizona.
That
2 months before he leaves for Arizona. What should I do?
That to me means he's going. Like, what if he's going for work?
But if he really loved you and he really wanted to do long distance, he probably could have just a little harder.
Yeah.
And if you feel like he has not the greatest track record with women and then he's going far away, there is a little bit of an open door for other things to happen.
Yeah. Maybe he's also just feeling like, oh my God, I'm moving away, and he's getting like ghabrahat, and he's like, hi, she's the only one. And then he just like goes for it.
Yeah, maybe it's that.
Maybe the fear of like losing kind of your friend circle, your parents, you're leaving everybody behind. Makes
so you're like,
yeah.
let me just kiss a friend?
Yeah.
This is what I think is happening.
Oh.
I think, what if he actually genuinely had feelings for you for a long time but he couldn't play his play because he was like, shoot, I can't, it's gonna make things awkward because I see her all the time. So the best opportunity for me to do this is when I'm leaving for Arizona, so I can plant the seed, leave, and see what she does with it. He's like little breadcrumbing you. He's breadcrumbing you.
I know, but I don't like that game.
Maybe it's
come
not
on
a
with me,
game,
like,
man. You know how guys are. Sometimes they're a little bit like, how do I do this? This is so weird. What if she doesn't like me? They also have these thoughts.
Okay, what if she doesn't like me? Then you're gonna come and make out with me? Like, come on.
No, but before he did that, okay, this is the thing. I also want to say this. Okay. No guy is just gonna randomly go to a girl and kiss her. Okay. That's not happening.
Okay.
There was probably some other stuff going on. There's probably some flirting. He probably told you that you liked him. And then you were probably just like, I'm not going to really engage. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many layers to it, you know?
So if there's still 2 months before he's leaving, maybe have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
Talk to him, be like, hey, listen, what was that about? What going on?
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah. What was that about? Do you have feelings for me? Are you trying to find out where we are? You don't have, like, if he's a friend, you can be like, listen, you don't have the best track record with girls.
Absolutely.
You know, what is this? What is this? And was it just because you're having anxiety of leaving and you just want to give me a kiss? I don't know.
Yeah. Look, I know you're asking us, but the better person to ask would be him. Like, we're here for you. But honestly, at the end of the day, we can't answer those questions. He can. And you should be straight up, especially if you have feelings for him.
Exactly.
My personal thought is maybe you do have feelings for him. And that's fine.
And that's okay.
But I think be very clear and also be very confident.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this, okay? As girls, if we really like someone, we're like head over heels, okay? Please don't do that. Don't make a fool out of yourself, okay? Step back, take a deep breath, say what you got to say, be confident, and then live your life.
Cry it out in your closet first.
Yeah.
Don't let the emotions come in this conversation.
Never.
And straight up be like, yo, you're moving or you're going.
Yep.
And you decided to do this. What's going on?
Yeah. And let's say you do like him and he's like, I don't know, or your gut tells you, I don't know. Trust the gut.
Facts.
Trust the damn gut, guys.
Also, if he's going to be all like, oh, wait for me till I come back.
Okay, Majnu, calm down. Okay?
Majnu.
Ain't nobody waiting for you. You can come back and see me.
Facts. And like, really and truly, you know, sometimes we got to bring our best foot forward and see where we land.
Absolutely.
And you're not really going to be waiting around for some people.
Yeah. Put it out there. Be very clear with what you say. Don't hold back and be like, oh, but his feelings are going to get hurt. No. Everything that you've said, you're going to say the same thing to him. Clear, confident.
Facts.
And then see what he says and then take it from there, or write to us again so we can read out the next part.
Maybe it's Maybelline. My sister-in-law went through a bad divorce. Now she found a guy and he just ain't it. Walking red flags. He isn't bringing much to the table, and she would be giving up a lot of her peace, culture, and exposing her kids to this man. My husband, her brother, and I have no idea if we should support her happiness or point out all the red flags and not support this marriage, knowing it will break her heart and possibly lose a companion, which she definitely deserves.
What
do you do?
If it was my sister, I would 100% tell her.
Okay.
But just because you tell her does not mean that she's going to listen. So go into it knowing that she's not going to listen. Don't think she's not going to listen to you. Okay. She has to see those things for herself. That's not something that someone telling her is, she's not going to be able to show herself that. She's obviously in a very vulnerable state.
Yeah.
She's gone through a lot. And for her, maybe finding someone to love her is filling a void. Right. So give her the space, but also tell her, because as a sibling, you have a duty to tell her. Right. I think say it. Don't be rude. Say it. Like, for example, if I saw you with somebody, Uruje, and I felt like this guy is like such a douchebag, I'm being real. I think I would say it in a nice way. If I was, especially if you were like related to me, I would 100% say this. If I was a really close friend to you, I would 100% be like, this is what I see, but I also respect your decision.
This is what I wanted to add, because I think at the end of the day, you are like her family, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you have to have that conversation and be like, listen, there are certain things, you've been through a bad divorce. There are certain things that we see in this individual that maybe is not the greatest for a life partner. You also have kids now. Do we really want to be opening this, right? Bring it out in a very calm manner. She's probably not going to listen.
No.
But then also be like, ultimately, it's your decision. It's your life. We're going to support you in any way that we can. But know that we are seeing these red flags that we don't think is healthy for you or your happiness or healthy for your kids.
But sometimes there are red flags that you see. Like, I'll give an example. They said she was divorced, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say she's divorced and she has kids, and maybe a red flag for some people would be like, oh, she's getting married to someone that has kids, right? Because people are like, oh my God, then you have to take on that. And that is a difficult thing. But we don't know the inner workings of a human being. We don't know what their capability is. Maybe they are going to be an amazing parent to those kids. This is just a hypothetical scenario I'm throwing out there, right? So for you, that's a red flag, but for her, it may not be. Maybe she will be able to like be good that way. And maybe he seems like a red flag to you, but maybe there's things that he's doing with her that are not a red flag.
No, but in this situation, she has the kids. She's divorced.
No, I know, but I was just saying as in a hypothetical situation, right? For some people, a red flag could be that another person that you're ending up with has kids.
I understand.
That's what I mean. Right? So what I mean to say is like, what's a red flag for you may not be a red flag for her.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I also think that when you go through something like a separation or a divorce, it's really difficult, but you also have to take the time to like learn about yourself. And I think sometimes going through therapy really helps, because you figure out maybe there's a pattern of what you are attracted to that you continuously seek out. And that's what you end up with. And sometimes the lesson will keep repeating itself until it finally sinks in. As sad as it is to say, I think if that is something that happens, you've kind of done your job by putting it out there, and the rest is up to her. You don't control another person's decisions in life.
That's what I feel like. I feel like it's really sad because you're seeing your sibling go through this and you want to say something.
Naturally.
And sometimes it's just, when siblings are just so headstrong, they're in a relationship. When you're somebody in a relationship and they just don't see anything outside of that relationship.
Yeah.
Because they're holding on to something.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you can say what you want to say. At the end of the day, it is ultimately her decision, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's going to affect the family. Yes, it's going to affect her kids, which is your nieces and nephews. But I think you have to but have a conversation. I don't think you should be like tiptoeing around it, especially if she's considering marriage. I think sit down and be like, hey, you want to marry this guy? Cool. These are some of the things that we were thinking of having to have a conversation with you about. You have kids. Let's be respectful of everybody on this table. Whether she takes it or not is on her, and then kind of support her in that way.
And I think sometimes what happens is that you will hold back and not say anything because you're like, oh, but if I say it, it'll hurt her feelings. You have to be authentic to yourself and say it. And however she takes it is how she takes it. You can't control that. Ultimately, you being honest is something that she should value because you're her sibling.
What would you do in your situation when your nunde is getting married, but your in-laws keep you out of the entire wedding process? They assume that your husband will tell you, therefore, they never call or talk about the situation around you and go as far as telling you to leave the room when they have a conversation about that said wedding. I am considering not attending the wedding, and my husband also told my mill that I will not be attending because of the way I have been excluded completely. And now they are shifting all the blame on me to avoid taking any responsibility. They are saying things like, we assumed your husband would have told you. We live in a different state and they just visited us in August, but kept me specifically out of all conversations regarding the topic. What do I do? All I asked was to be included and kept in the loop in the progress of the situation. Directly, not through my husband. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I think you're not wrong because the part that really irked me for you is when you said that they tell you to leave the room or the conversation.
Yeah,
that is so mean. That's just mean.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it. It's mean. And obviously they didn't intend for the husband to tell you, because if that was the case and they were okay with you knowing, they would be okay with you being there.
Exactly.
Period. I don't know why they would do that. I think that's a really hurtful thing to say. And I think you not wanting to be there is 100% valid. Like, if I put myself in the situation, I would also feel like, okay, I guess you don't even want me to be a part of it. What do you think I'm going to do?
But maybe have a conversation with the bride.
Yeah, you could.
Because you haven't mentioned your sister-in-law. So maybe if like you have a conversation with the bride being like, hey, do you need any help with anything? Oh, hey, what's going on? Whatever. But I get it, because sometimes it's like, you know, they keep everything to themselves and you're kind of like, you know, what if they planned this whole entrance and they didn't even include you in the entrance?
See what I'm saying?
Like, that's not
What do
fair.
you say that, what would you do in that situation? Like,
She doesn't want to go. I think
I think you
I would just walk beside my mother-in-law at the entrance.
I wouldn't.
I just walk and be like, oh, here, let me hold the
I'd just
Todd.
be like, no, it's all good. I don't want to be a part of it anyway.
I know, but then during the wedding, girl, it looks so bad.
But then you can be like, oh, why aren't you a part of the entrance? And then you can be like, oh, they said that they didn't want me a part of it.
But no,
they never told me.
They're just gonna assume that you're being moody.
That's not on me.
I know, but that's how these things work.
It is how these things work. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, like, it's either I stand there with them and look like a fool. Imagine I stand there and they're like, oh, like, can you go and sit down? Because they never wanted you to be a part of it anyway. If they have the gall to tell you to leave the room, girl,
right, you're
100% they'll say something horrid like that. And you know, brides, sometimes they're bridezillas, okay? So I think that can happen. Then it's like basically complete at the wedding.
Oh my God.
I'll tell you what I would do. Best thing. Guys, this is something that I'm telling you, this is like top tier, okay? When you feel like this, when someone makes you feel left out, right? You say, okay, that's fine. You don't have to like do anything back. You don't do any of that stuff. You look amazing, okay? Ooh. You step it up. You step it up. You be the kindest person that you could possibly be. You show face. You're not there at the entrance, okay? Because that is extremely rude for them to have said that to you, okay? And then you just do your thing and you be the best version of yourself. People can see.
And then you plan a surprise dance with your husband.
Ooh.
Dedicated to that. None. Yeah, I would do that. I'm like, yo, surprise from the brother? Surprise dance?
I'm not gonna lie. Guys, sometimes you gotta swallow the ego, but one up.
Yeah, because if you look that good, you dance that good, the spotlight.
And then you go to everyone and you do the, how's the food? Are you doing okay? Are you doing okay?
मैं कुछ आपके लिए ला सकती हूँ? आंटी आपको कोई नान चाहिए और
this is the end, okay? You be the best top tier
That's right.
gal ever, okay? You show up. And then when they don't include you next time, you can be like, don't include me. I never want to be a part of it.
Yeah. And you show up in that Hussein Rehar suit. Ooh. You spend that money, girl. You got this.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to do these things because you don't want to deteriorate the marriage, but you also want to show face. And then you want to show your husband like, look, here you are. Your family treats me like doo-doo. And here I am. Here I am swallowing my ego and my pride just to show face and show up for yo family. And
also,
guys,
we look hella good.
And it's like karma. It'll always come back.
I'm engaged to my fiance, but because I'm not a doctor yet, his parents are not letting us get married. Ours was a love marriage. He's Jut. I'm not. His parents had a hard time getting over the caste system, but somehow got convinced on the condition that I become a doctor, as I always wanted to pursue med school. My fiance is 2 years older than me, so as I had just graduated from my undergrad this year, my parents brought up the idea of setting a wedding date. I have also been applying to med school simultaneously. His parents shot the idea down, saying that they're looking for a rishta for his older brother and want us to get married later. But the real reason was that I'm not in med school yet, as my fiance promised I'd be in. I've grown to resent them so much just because of this little detail. What do I do?
You rethink everything. I'm sorry. I say you rethink everything because I'm like, is that what you want to do? Like, why is your fiance promising things on behalf of you? What if you don't want to do it? Let's say you say, I don't want to do it. Then what? Then is he going to leave you? I'm sorry. I'm just wondering out of curiosity. He shouldn't be making those promises. He should have enough courage to be like, this is what she wants to do. And this is what she's going to do. Because if he doesn't have the courage now, you think he's going to have the courage in 10 years? Good luck with that.
Also, like, if he wants to marry you, he'll marry you regardless of that MD.
Thank you. He'll marry you regardless of your caste. He'll marry you regardless of many things because ultimately that's not what makes you a good person.
I cannot believe that the bargaining chip right now is the fact that you have to be a doctor.
This is wildly disproportionate. Like, it's out of control.
What if you decide, like, what if med school is so hard? Let's say you get in and first year, second year, you're just like, I can't do it. Are you just not going to be able to marry him now?
My God.
That's crazy.
I just feel like having a standard like that. And what's their reason for that? It's 100% because they want to tell people she may not be a jut, but she's a doctor. I'll bet money.
That is what it is.
That's what it is. And how sad and disgusting that
crazy.
someone's parents are making you feel like you're not good enough unless you have that MD at the end of your name. How sad is that? Is that really what you want to see yourself at? I'm not trying to say like leave. I'm trying to say this is something to work through. I'm trying to say have the conversation with him and be like, listen, I may not want to pursue this later on. Maybe I don't find joy in this. Just like if you said you didn't want to do something, I would be there to support you 110%. I should not have to compromise everything about myself to make people love me. They will never love you like that. There's always going to be, let's say you get the doctorate. Let's say you become a doctor. There's going to be something else and it's going to continue forever. If you don't address it now, don't do that to yourself. Don't put yourself in situations where later on down the road, it's going to get harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. You got to see the red flags in the beginning. I would even say, remember you were giving that idea of like premarital counseling?
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Do that.
100%. Honestly, after I heard somebody mention it, I was like, this is really good. People should be trying this out.
Yeah, I think so.
Because then you can have the hard conversations with somebody in the room who can provide a neutral perspective.
I agree with you. All right, guys. So that is our episode for today. We just want to thank you all so much for sending in your situations. And we are going to bring this one back because it's actually kind of fun to answer them.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys save them, DM us, do what you got to do. Follow us on Patreon, subscribe to everything, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye. Okay, Mom.